Pastor Tommy's vision for the live stream church. We see the church at Unbroken Covenant live stream as a dynamic, spirit-filled, multicultural, multi-generational church, numbering in the thousands of people from all walks of life, all around the world, taking the good news of Jesus Christ outside the four walls of the local church. It's your generous donations that empower us to spread the good news. When you give, you make it possible for people all around the world to have access to uncompromised truths that can change lives. By giving, you enable Pastor Tommy to teach them how to know and grow in Christ's truth just as you have. This is a non-profit ministry that believes in evangelism. Let me encourage you to consider becoming a one-time giver or a covenant partner by giving a monthly gift in the amount of your choice. Here's the number to call. If you are watching or listening in the United States, it's 800-717-9569 extension 801. 800-717-9569 extension 801. And you can also give online at unbrokencovenant.org/give today. Or you can mail a check to Unbroken Covenant Church, P.O. Box 323, Cedartown, Georgia 30125. Thank you for your continued support.
In appreciation for being a covenant partner, we'll send you one of Pastor Tommy's most popular CDs. 8 Ways to be Blessed by God Volume 1 has been a favorite for years, combining Pastor Tommy's insightful teaching with some of his most humorous stories and anecdotes, and Volume 1 is the latest in the series. You'll also receive an Unbroken Covenant journal and pen set, perfect for taking notes on our live stream Bible studies, or for keeping a personal diary of what God is doing in the life of you and your family through the live stream church. The Christian life is not a static life. It involves growing and moving forward. It requires a relationship with God, through prayer and studying His Word. Today on Walking Through Fire, Pastor Tommy's teaching is designed to help you strengthen your walk with God by learning more about His character and getting more acquainted with His Word, and learning to draw nearer to Him in every step of life. Here is Pastor Tommy with his opening message. Today on Walking Through Fire, Pastor Tommy will share how he grew up in a Christian family, how he was surrounded by God and the church from the very beginning. He was raised in a Christian home, but just followed through the motions of doing Christian things that he thought you were supposed to do. He didn't know Jesus, he just knew about Him. He found himself searching for purpose and meaning in people and also in himself. Whether that was his friends or in relationships, he poured his whole heart into them. He also became very fixated on himself and his image. He became very consumed with what people thought of him and was living for the acceptance of others. Here's Pastor Tommy with his story. He titles it, How He Saved Me.
Hello, I'd like to welcome you to Walking Through Fire. I'm Tommy Pope Sr., Senior Pastor here at Unbroken Covenant Church, and our objective is Matthew chapter 22, verse 37. We are to love the Lord thou God with all of our heart, all of our soul, and all of our mind. And we are to love you and others all around the world, and we're called to make disciples. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a great time today. We're going to be sharing a little bit of my story. And today I guess you're wondering, you said, well, who is that on the show today? You ain't used to that smile. But anyway, I call her Sister Sue Holmes, but she's a part of Unbroken Covenant, and she's a great lady of God, and she's got a lot of wisdom. And anyway, she's going to be asking me a bunch of different questions today about coming up, because see, one thing about it, I know most of you, some of you know me and been knowing me for a while, and most of you, now that we're live streaming all around the world, don't know me and don't know anything about me. And you see me now, and it sort of make you, maybe if you're not where I am, it make you sort of doubt whether you're qualified, to even come to Jesus. But that's why we share a lot of our story, to let you know where I come from and what I've done in the past. Because see, Jesus, if you just really take a good look at it, You know, Jehovah is just sin. It's not categorized like we as people, we categorize things, you know, because think about it. If you categorize it, you make one degree a little bit stouter than another degree. You make one sin maybe a little bit worse than you do another. But see, Jehovah made it plain and clear that it's just sin. You know, he made it plain and clear. If you have a relationship with him and if you study the Bible in it, you'll find out that it's just sin in his eyes is the problem. The problem is not the results of sin. You know, what we do is a result of it. But that's not the problem. The problem is we was conceived and born into it. So guess what? You know, a lot of people, they have said, well, you know, they doing this wrong stuff. Well, you know what? When you conceived and born into something, it's your second nature. And if it's your second nature, how wrong can it be? That's why God, Jehovah, sent his son, Jesus. That's why he done that, because guess what? We couldn't change nature. We can't change it. There's just no way we can change nature. You know, we was born into sin and we would continue to live in the sin if it wasn't for his son. But his son, once he receives us just the way we are, then he can make a change, you know. But now today we got it special, you know, on Walking Through Fire. We sort of come most of the time with some parts of my story and let you know, the things that I've been through, the things that I go through. So, you know what? It'll give somebody out there that think that they're too bad. We want to give you some hope. That's what this is all about, because let me tell you something. I'm not proud of anything that I've done, but what I done was necessary for the ministry that I was put in this world to do, that I didn't know, my parents didn't know, didn't nobody know. But it was necessary for me to go through those things. And I'm going to tell you why. Because many of you watching today have been through a lot, and you think that unqualified you because of what you've been through. Well, you know, I've done this, and and it just make you feel unqualified. But see, think about something. God don't call the qualified.
No, he does not.
You can't qualify. Is no one, no matter how good we are, no matter how smart we are, no matter how intelligent we are, we cannot qualify. See, what he does is he qualifies the call. He equip you. See, so guess what? What you've been through, or maybe what you're going through, let's put it that way. What you're going through, he's the only way that you can come out of that. He's the only way. Is everything that you're going through, when you finally get enough of it, then you're going to understand those people, because those are the people need saving.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, people need saving we messed up. Yeah, I know the things I've done in my life. You know, I was a good person. I ain't nobody. I was very active in the community. You know, I coached Little League Baseball. I coached rec basketball. I had a business. I was very active in the community, and didn't nobody even know I was doing none of that, because I was a great person. I was brought up in the church. But guess what, though? You know what? Because of sin and that sin nature, and I wasn't living for the Lord, that's just the results of it right there.
And, you know, I will say, if we're going to be confessing all of our sins today, I'm glad I'm the one that's asking the question to you, not the other way around.
Yeah. You know, a lady, see, I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of coaching. You know, I do a lot of that. And I have people calling me just about every day. It ain't too many days that I don't get any calls. But anyway, I have people talking to me. And you know what a lady told me one day? She said, Pastor, she said, you are open book. You know, just because I tell what I've been through. She said, you're an open book. I said, open book? What you mean? She said, you tell what you've been through. I said, guess what? Revelation, what is it? 12 and 11? I think it's 12 and 11, Revelation 12, 11 and 12. I think it's 12 and 11. It said we overcome him. Overcome who? Satan.
Right.
With the blood of the Lamb first, and then the words of our testimony. See, he don't want us to get that testimony, because it gives people hope. You know, they said, well, okay, if Pastor Tommy can be doing what he doing today after what he done, then I can. See, and Satan don't want us to have that kind of hope. He wants us to think that what we done is so bad that it's no hope for us. That's what he wants us to think. So that testimony, I try to encourage people by, see, a pastor position, I should be leading by example, you know.
And you do.
And that's, I'm talking about, that's the only way that you can do it. You know, you have to lead by example. And so guess what? The Bible said, do it. I do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get this started today because we got a good bit of questions, and I'm gonna just show some of you out there today just some of the things that I've been through, and the only hope for anything that I've been through. We're gonna show you a little bit of that today. So and like I said, I just got a habit. I hardly ever call people by their first name. I just don't do that. It's something about me. I have to call them sister. I have to call them brother, you know, and then their name. You know, I have several people all the time say, Pastor, just call me such and such. And I tell them, I say, you know what? I just ain't able to do that. For some, I don't know why. It look like it's simple and easy, but it ain't for me. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get started. And Sister Sue, you can ask me some questions, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability to be correct.
I know you will. All right, so I wrote down just a few of them when I knew I was going to be doing this interview with you. And first question is, what was your life like before Christ?
Well, I went to church. My parents brought me up. I was brought up in a good Christian home, you know, good Christian home. My mother, she was a great, great Christian lady. And I was brought up in that Christian home all from birth, you know. Before I even knew I was in church as a baby, I was in now. So, you know, I was brought up good in church, and I was brought up all through my school years, all 18 of them. We went back and forth to church. My mother, she was a great, great Christian lady. You know, she was awesome. But I guess it's nothing strange because we might not do the same thing, but we all drift off no matter what, you know, because of that sin nature and stuff. But anyway, you know, I brought up good, but I drifted off. I just, you know, I got out there, got to live in the world way, thinking that was the way to go. You know, it seemed like it. It just felt so good. You know, my parents were trying to raise me the right way, and it didn't seem so good. I just, you know, I thought I was despising them. I was all right till I got to be a teenager. When I got to be a teenager, then I'll just go into school. You got friends you make in school, and they can do what they want to.
And influence you.
What they call that, peer pressure?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what happened. And I was brought up good, and I brought up to be a great kid. But I got teenager and just got to looking at things like my parents was just trying to be too hard on me. And so, you know what? That made me get on the wrong track.
As a mother of 3 boys, I've experienced that. So from the other side. But going on, how did you come to know him then?
Well, through a life of turning away from him, which in reality, I want to talk about a little bit of that before I come to how did I come to know him. I said turning away from him, but I was in church. If I can say this way, I was in church. My parents brought me up the whole time in church, but the church wasn't in me. I wasn't where I was supposed to be. In other words, it's like what's going on today. I knew of Jesus, but I didn't know Jesus. You see, I knew of him, you know, that's just a normal routine now, you know, to know of him. But when it come down to really being saved and having a relationship with him, I never had that. So, you know, so now I can say what brought me back. I went the world's way, and what brought me back to him basically was getting enough, just really getting enough of living the way I was living. You know, I was just living just like I said, business, good person, everything. But I started some habits, you know, cheating on my wife, started that habit. That habit led to alcohol abuse. Then it led to drug abuse. And after years of that, which I took care of my family, everything was in place. It was the only thing it was that it was just, I looked in the mirror one day and I said, this ain't who I am. But when you realize that, and it's people watching today that done been through the same thing, when you realize, whoa, I didn't bargain for this, it's too late. You can't get out of it.
There's nothing that can take you out of it.
Yeah, you can't. When you realize something like sin, when you realize it's wrong, see, because in the beginning, your sin nature, you know, it seems right. So once you get to living that lifestyle and find out it's wrong, you know what? And see that I understand the people today because of what I've been through. So when you get to understand that this is wrong, it's too late. You're hooked.
But you were able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Is that when, I mean, what happened? How did you find Jesus? How did you accept him into your heart?
In 2000, after probably 25 years of living that life, that's a long time.
Yes.
Most people don't make it out, not once you started that long. But what it all stemmed down to is I was put in this world for what I'm doing. See, that's really what it all stemmed down to. That's what it boiled down to be. I was put in this world from day one that I didn't know, my parents didn't know, that my brothers and sisters didn't know. We just another baby, and you know, another baby in the family.
Right.
And matter of fact, I'm the youngest in the family. So you know what? We didn't realize what was going on, but after 25 years, I looked in the mirror one day and I said, this ain't who I am. And it was too late to change though. It wasn't nothing I could do, because before I really looked in the mirror, I wanted to change, but I couldn't. Then one day I looked in the mirror and I said, this ain't who I am. And this was in 2000. And I called on Jehovah. I called on him. I said, back then, you know, we all know that God have a name. See, we don't use his name enough. You know, we want to say God, and I know everybody watching know that it's more than one. It's just all kind of gods out there. I know everybody know that. So when you say the word God, you know, what are you saying? But anyway, I looked in the mirror, and this is what I told Jehovah in 2000. I told him that if he didn't move, I told him I didn't know I could have a good time. You know, sin is a good time.
Yes, it is.
I thought, why you think people doing it? You know, so I didn't know I could have a good time and couldn't stop. So I looked in the mirror and I said, Lord, if you don't move, my life is over with. I was doing good, taking care of my family. Everything was going good. But I had a problem that I couldn't stop. And I told him, I said, if you don't move, my life is over with. And after I said that, it was just like, and I know many of you watching today, the same thing going on. You done talk to him, you done talk to him, you done talk to him till you blue in the face, and ain't nothing changed. But what he's waiting on is he know your heart. See, he know your heart sometimes, and what he's waiting on for your heart to be ready. You know, sometimes we can say something with the mouth that don't be coming from the heart. You know, you can make the mouth say anything, can't you?
Yes, you can.
You can make the mouth say what somebody want to hear. See, so a lot of times when he hadn't answered, that's what it is. Well, after I said that, it took about a year. Well, I thought, being brought up in the church, I thought maybe, well, you know, I done too much bad. The reason he wasn't saying nothing or doing nothing. I thought maybe he was just done washed his hand with, you know, I brought up in the church, so all kind of stuff running through my mind, you know, why he's not doing anything about it after I talked to him. But I believe what he was doing was he was waiting for me to really, 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 really get tired of it.
Yes.
because about a year later, he went to work. He went and see it was too late for me. I couldn't get out of it. It was over with for me. If he had to move, then it was over. I wouldn't even be sitting in this chair today giving this testimony. But he knew when I was ready, and he moved. It wasn't nothing I could do to stop it. Not one thing. And once he started moving on me, what got me right is I fell sick. I fell sick 9/11, September 11th, 01. I fell sick and got to the doctor. Anyway, I ended up wasn't on no medication. I ended up on about 8 different medications in over a year period of time. I was in the walk-in line to see the doctor. I couldn't even hardly wait on my appointments they give me. I was that bad. I couldn't sit behind my desk in my office. I owned the business. I couldn't work the computer. I couldn't drive a car. I couldn't do none of that. I coached my son, brought him up. Couldn't do none of that. Couldn't do nothing. He brought me all the way down. After a year, we talking about what helped me make that decision of how was I able to change? Well, after a year, the doctors gave up. They said, you should be better than what you are, but ain't nothing else we know to do. We done everything that we know to do. Ain't no more we can do. So I asked the doctor, I was thinking, you know how I was thinking now?
Yes.
I'm going to die. That must be what's going on. So I asked the doctor, I said, well, what you think I can do? I was 240 pounds. I was 240 pounds. Now I'm around 100 and I'll be around 152 to 160 at the most, 52, you see. But anyway, I was after he told me that started my workout routine. But this is the kicker right here. When my wife took me home, she went in the regular house. I went in my office. I got down on my knees and I told Jehovah, I said, I would get back to going to church and doing the things I was supposed to do. Like my parents brought me up. I said, but I couldn't do that because I done got started in stuff I couldn't get out of. Well, when I told him that, guess what happened? I didn't know it that day, found it out later. What happened was he saved me for telling him the truth, and my heart was right. I was ready to be saved, and he saved me. Okay, when he did, the first Sunday come up with my first urge to get back in church. First urge to get back in church. Then I got back in church, second Sunday I was out. I asked the pastor to baptize me. September the 15th, 02, I was born of God, filled with the Holy Ghost. Been teaching the Bible now for 21 years. Been teaching the Bible for 21 years. You can go, we'll go.
So he really, really made an impact on you. How would you compare that with your life before and what is versus now? What is the biggest difference in your life?
The biggest difference in my life now, at first, I was in church, but the church wasn't in me. That's why I was able to drift off like that. Some people think that you can be born of God and drift off like that. But what's the sense in even being born of God if you can do that? Mm-hmm. See, so we need to be knowledgeable about the truth so we can conquer this thing out here. See, so that's why I drifted off like that, because I was in church, but the church wasn't in me. See, we are the church. Now that's a lot of people today think going to church make them secure, but it don't though. Being born of God make you secure, because what happened is Jesus said, all that the Father give me. And see, the reason he said all that the Father give me, no one can pluck them out of my hand. The reason he said that is because he said in John 6:44, no one come unto me except the Father that sent me draw them. See, so when Jehovah draw them, then that's the way it's supposed to be done. Now, when that's done right there, ain't no getting out of it. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about you can't walk away from it anymore. You can't, it's a done deal. People think you can tend to get away from it, but that's when you're not saved, you can get away from it.
I've shared that with you, my story, but this is about you. So how did someone like you, someone who was into heavy alcohol and drugs and cheating on your wife and and just playing it loose. Someone like you, how did you become a pastor?
Oh boy, now let me tell you something. After I was born again, September the 15th, 02, I was born of God, started my teaching ministry right away. I started my teaching ministry right away. How? Because I was brought up in the church. Proverbs 22:6 said, train up a child in the way they should go. And when they grow old, they will not depart from it. So all of that bringing up and training up was still there. So when I got born of God, I started teaching the Bible right off the bat. 9 years later, if I'm not mistaken, from 02 to 11. Is that 9 years from 02
Yes,
to 11? See, I know, okay, 9 years later is when he called me the pastor. 9 years after I was born of God, from September the 15th, 02, then 11. It was in September 11 where I founded Unbroken Covenant Church. He called me to that, and this was my response. In a study in my office is where he brought that to me. And this was my reply. That's not who I am. See, I was teaching the Bible. I was teaching the Bible everywhere I go. Fine, that was good. But when he called me the pastor, I said, that's not who I am. That was my reply when he told me to by pastor Unbroken Covenant Church, founder. He gave me the name for the church. Unbroken Covenant come from Jehovah. He gave me that name. Well, when he told me that, I said, that's not who I am. I'm not that type of person. I was looking at other people. So, you know what he told me? He told me to be who he created me to be. Well, when he said that, I could agree with that. I thought I had to be something else, and I know I couldn't do that. So when he told me that, okay, now, the name Unbroken Covenant, he give me that name. It wasn't no, I come up with this, he give me that name. Okay, we incorporated that name back in 11 when we founded the church. We incorporated that name, and you can't have in the state of Georgia, you can't have another name the same in the whole state of Georgia. He gave me that name, Unbroken Covenant. I went to the Secretary of State, the Corporation of Georgia, to check and see if that name was available, and it was. Out of the whole state of Georgia, that name was available. See, you can tell he gave it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, and that name was available. So that's where the pastoring come up. It came up 9 years later after I was born of God. So in other words, I had that 9 years of real in-depth study. I had and I still have it today, a great study ethic. I'm a study, me and God, we spent a lot of time together every day. And he waited 9 years. I wasn't called to be a pastor right off the bat. It took 9 solid years for me to be ready to be a pastor.
Now, I know I met you as pastor, and I know the story behind us, how we met, but is this the only venue that you preach from, or do you go out elsewhere?
Oh, well, let me tell you something. God done something to me that this whole community know. I'm talking about 200-mile radius in any direction you go in for over 21 years. See, over 21 years, that's why I said that big of a radius, because ever since I've been born of God, my ministry is what Jesus said. He, in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19, he said, go and make disciples, baptizing them. My ministry has been everywhere I go. My pulpit is with me in the marketplace, in the grocery stores, you name it. We do Bible studies in parking lots. We've done Bible studies in parking lot with it raining, and my pages on the Bible be soaking wet. Yeah, doing Bible study. We've been doing Bible studies in the heat of the summertime. We be sweating, the people listening, sweating, my shirt wet, sweating. But that's just what he called me to. Yeah, we from the church, but The ministry is everywhere I go, and not just the last year or so, for the last 21 years. When I first got saved, born again, September the 15th, 2002, I went to a town and was walking down the Broad Street, going in and out of every store, teaching anybody that owned a business the Bible if they wanted to listen. That's what I was doing. And the moment that I got born of God, I was going in and out of each store, teaching the Bible to anybody that wanted to listen.
Did you always know that you were going to have a ministry and the church being a live stream ministry, or?
Oh no, I never had no clue. This is how the live stream church come up that you watching today. It was in September 2018. In my study again, that's when he talked to me. He always talked to me in my study. In my study again, I'm studying, and the live stream church come up. And I said, I didn't know if that was from Jehovah or not, because the live stream church, I said, well, number one, my wife was still alive and I was taking care of her. She was priority, God first, she was second. Could
Right.
no church or nobody come before her. And I know God would agree with that. So when he told me September 2018, the live stream church, I said, at first I thought it might have been something that I was thinking about. I really did. I thought it might have been something I was bringing up, but it wasn't. It was what he wanted me to do. So I didn't know how that was going to work. It was in my mind, and I was willing to do what he said do. I went to work on doing what he told me to do. But in the back of my mind, it was like, this ain't going to work. This, I don't see how it can work. A live stream church. And then he told me, when he gave it to me, this is what he said. And it's for whosoever will, it's for anyone. But he said he had people that belonged to him, that was his, that was not in local churches because of whatever the reason is. People got all kind of different reasons for not being associated with churches, you see. And he said his people was not in church that he wanted me to be their pastor. And I didn't know how that would work either. Live streaming a person in Africa somewhere and I'm their pastor. And I just didn't understand how it would work. So let me tell you what he done. That was in 2018. 2020, my wife's condition was all bad. She was on her last days. Whenever that, she was in her last days. COVID come in. He allowed COVID to come in March of 2020. He allowed COVID to get started. All of us churches, all of us everywhere had, if you wanted to have church, you had to live stream. God showed me with COVID, and after he showed me that, I looked up at him and I said, I see what you're talking about now. I believe that he allowed, God can stop anything he want to stop.
Yes, he can.
Whatever he want to do, he can do it. I ain't gonna say it's nothing that he can't do, because he's God, he can do. But when I saw that let me know right then and now. Just like these testimonies letting people know that they are qualified. They are
Yes.
more than able to come to Jesus just the way they are. Well, that let me know right then that I heard from God, and that's what so I started, I was working on it, trying to get it. Now, we didn't get it launched off to 21. He told us 18, 21, we launched it off.
So it sounds like you had a few problems that were, or you maybe, I'm not sure what, but do you ever feel like giving up?
Well, I feel like that in the ministry pretty often, in the ministry as a whole, because, see, I spend so much time with Jehovah. I spend so much time with him that he's able. See, the Bible said that the new covenant, the Spirit is the teacher. And I spend so much time with him that, when you're out really telling the truth, All you got to do is look at Jesus' life on the truth. Jesus told 100% truth, and the church didn't like him.
Right.
You know, he told 100% truth, and the church crucified him. See, so that just go to show you that if you close to the truth, then how can you not be rejected when he was, if you following him?
Okay, so this, you kind of just answered my next question, but a little bit deeper. How do you keep your faith and believe that everything is going to work out?
Okay, number one, you just got to, you can't operate the ministry off of the word I'm looking for. You can't operate in the ministry off of what you see. You see, you can't operate in the ministry off of, anything but doing his will. You can't be, in other words, you can't be focused off of people cheering for you. You can't be off of people watching. You can't do that, because see, ministry is sort of different. It's big ministries out there that make it look like it's real easy, but you know what I mean? Yeah, but when it come down to the truth, it's not real easy. You know what I mean? If you looking off, if you motivated by numbers, then you're going to be probably upset. You see? So you got to be motivated by doing what he said do. And that's it. See, it's hard to stay focused in the ministry because you always got them negative thoughts going through your mind about giving up, about this ain't going to work. But you know what? You just got to find it. You just got to keep going, because one thing about it, he said, if he be for you, then who can be against you?
And there is something else. You and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about one specific subject, and Yahweh came and validated you. Would you tell us about that?
We was talking about a subject the other day when I was in the grocery store, and we was talking about, how when you do God's will, different things. I forget exactly the main point of that.
We were talking about doing for others.
Yeah, doing for others. Yeah, we was talking about daddy or doing for others. Well, okay. Well, as we was talking about that, we was on the phone, and I hadn't seen the man. I hadn't seen him nowhere in the grocery store. I checked out my groceries, and I always go in the bathroom right there by the checkout. I go straight in the bathroom, wash my hands because I done touched everything. And when I come out, I saw him. I didn't see him before I went in the bathroom. I didn't see him nowhere. But when I come out of the bathroom, he was standing there. And he told me that God said, and I looked at him, he said, God said that you doing, what he said? You heard him.
He said, the Lord told me to come over here and tell you thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, and the reason she can say that is because I was on the phone with her when he said it. She heard him say it.
Yes, yeah. I did.
Yeah, and man, I'm talking about, and that's what we was talking about.
Yes.
And I promise you, I didn't see him in the grocery store before I went in the bathroom. He wasn't nowhere around. When I come out of the bathroom, he was standing there, right there. He was standing there and told me that.
One other thing about that, and then I'd like to ask you some other questions. But one other thing about that is I know you as Pastor Tommy, and I've heard, when I've been on the phone with you, I hear people address you as Pastor Tommy. Everywhere I've ever gone, people either call you Pastor or Pastor Tommy. What did he call you? And did you know him before that?
No, I don't. I have seen him. You know what I mean?
But you don't know his name?
But I don't know his name. I don't know his name. I've seen him, but I don't know his name. So that lets you know that, we never had. See, it ain't too many people that I hadn't done witness to or talked to about the Lord. So, somewhere in the past I have done that, but for knowing him, his name and stuff, I don't even know his name.
And how did he address you?
He just said, the Lord told me to tell you. He didn't call me anything, did he?
He called you sir.
Yeah, sir. That's right. Yeah, that's what he did. He said, sir. And then he told me what the Lord had said. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, It really, and that come from, because see, when you're doing the right thing, it's going to always be, the devil going to always plant doubts in your mind and try to get you discouraged and make it look like that you ain't getting any results. Well, you know what? It's not about results, because think about it. If you're looking for results, okay, if we're looking for results in the ministry, then you got to go back and look at Jesus, because he's the head of the church. Now, we following him, am I right?
You are right.
Or is we making our own way?
Some people are.
Yeah, yes, a lot of, and those people doing pretty good making their own way. But if you following Jesus, let me tell you the results he got. He got the cross. That was his results of what he was doing, out telling the truth, out teaching, helping people, loving people, and his results was the cross. They crucified him and nailed him alive to the cross. So if you're looking for results in a ministry, if you results driven, you're going to be highly disappointed, because for some reason, when the Spirit of the Lord is around, for some reason, it stir up a bunch of evil spirits, and they start trying to get you down. We're just talking the truth today. Our pastor, I don't want to mislead people, and somebody might have a calling on their life today, and they may be in ministry today, and they may be really, really working for Jehovah and his son Yeshua, may be really on fire, but then it's looking like it ain't gonna work, because the ones that say they Christians should be coming along beside them, but they done turned their back on them. But see, those right there is not Christians. See, it's more pretenders. It's more pretenders than it is the real deal. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Now, I'd like to go off topic right now and kind of venture away. A few minutes ago, you were talking about your wife. Mm-hmm. And you said, I think you said she passed. And would you tell me a little bit about your wife?
Yeah, that's a subject that is really tough. I had a great Christian wife. We both were brought up in the church. We both walked away from the church when we got married. And my wife, she never done the stuff I done. She never did. She never drank. She never done drugs. She never cheated outside the house. She never done the stuff I done. But yeah, I tell you, it's tough when I mention her, but she was like my mama. God gave me a wife like my mama because God knew the plan and the purpose he had for my life, and he knew I was going to walk away. Well, this is what he done. He used my lifestyle to win her back over. See, he had a plan and a purpose. And then after he done that, after he was successful with that, then he used her to bring me back. You see? Because, see, she stood out of everything that I done. We never separated. We never talked about divorce. We worked through everything that I done wrong. We worked through it because, see, she was sent from God. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, we was able to sit down and talk about it, and she might be mad about it, or some things, but anyway, we was able to sit down and always talk about something and always worked it out. We always did, because if we didn't love each other when we got married, if we didn't love each other, it'd easily separated us. Some stuff I'd done, it'll easily divorced us. Mm-hmm. But see, we loved each other. God gave her to me. I didn't know it, but right. God gave her, and he gave her to me for this reason. Today, we're making it look like that you can pastor and you can do all this with a living spouse. But let me tell you something. When it come down to pastoring, you got to be blameless. The Bible said blameless.
It does. Okay,
now, we just talking about pastoring. We ain't talking about nothing else. We talking about a man that's got to be an example for the flock. Pastor, just like a bishop, a deacon, or any of that, should be blameless. You see what I'm saying? So you got to realize the reason he gave me her, so we could stick together, so I could be that blameless person no divorce, no separation. You know, yeah, I done wrong, but I was repentant from that. And I left that life behind. September the 15th, 02, that life was left behind, and that life ain't never showed back up since. And that's been 21, 20, or going on 22 years ago. It ain't showed back up.
Do you think you'll ever get remarried?
I hope so. I hope so. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, you know, in Genesis 2:18, Genesis 2:18, ain't it 2:18, I believe? 2:18, I believe it is.
I'm not as good as you are.
Yeah. Well, this is what it said. God said, it's not good for man to be alone. So he created him a helper. Okay, now, and then it said, for this reason shall a man leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife. And if you think about it, look at my biblical life. Look at my biblical life for doing what I am today. What have I said? I left my mama and got married. See, shall a man leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife? See all this track record of God putting me here to do what I do. I didn't know nothing about. I could have been living out on my own. Or I didn't have to get married to leave my mama's house. I could have just left after high school. I'm grown, you know. 21 before you can do certain stuff, but I'm grown.
Yeah.
But guess what, though? God knew what he had me here for. It was biblical. I left my mama and married my wife. You see, that was biblical right there. Shall a man leave his mother and father and be joined unto his wife? You know, so, you know, God is an awesome God. He do things, you can tell when he's behind something, he do things biblically. You know, no separation because of the calling that I had on my life. I couldn't do what I'm doing today with a separation. You know, now I could be a Christian with a separation. There's a lot of things I can do. But for it being pastoring, you know, leading a congregation, I couldn't do that.
So have you had to, because Yahweh has done a lot of calling for you. He has put you where he wants you to be at that time. Have you had to make any sacrifices along the way? I
done had to make a lot of sacrifices, a lot. Now, I'm going to talk about the major sacrifice that I had to make is the major sacrifice. I had to make it's a life of making sacrifices, you know, choices, making healthy choices. But the biggest sacrifice I had to make was when after 4 years of me being born of God, after 25 living in the world, 4 years of being born of God, my wife come down with Alzheimer's at 47 years old. Okay, now the biggest sacrifice I had to make when she got diagnosed with that, I was able to run my business for another probably about 5 years. But her conditioning, her health condition was declining the whole 5 years. Well, it got down to where in 2011, it was where I couldn't continue to run the business and take care of her like I was. And that was one of the biggest sacrifices I had to make. I had to get rid of my business and take care of my wife with no income for 9 solid years. That was a big sacrifice right there.
That is huge. Now, most people would say, how can that be asked of one man? How can one man just do that? What would you say to that?
Well, all I know, he told me, I went to him, I said, look, I can't keep running the business, taking care of my wife. It done got down to where I can't do both. When I told Jehovah that, he told me, get rid of the business. He didn't wait, he didn't hesitate, and this was my reply, because it was a big sacrifice. This was my reply. This is the only money that we got coming in. Yeah, I think that was a good excuse, wasn't it? A good reason.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I said, this is all we got coming in. So what can we do? You know, what we gonna do? Well, as normal, he said what he had to say, and he wasn't gonna say nothing else. You know, he don't go back and forth with us. So after he said that, then I had a choice to make. Well, I made the big sacrifice. I made the big choice. I done what he told me to do. And it wasn't no time. My wife, back time we got all of her disability set up and everything just clockwork. And we lived on that disability for 9 years.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, I know you. I know that you're a very, very powerful person in God, in Yahweh's words and in your teaching. Does your family feel the same way as you do with your faith?
Well, yeah, my immediate family, they are all comfortable with what I do. They support me 100%. We never have lost any kind of contact. Being the person that I don't have to compromise. My immediate family can tell you I don't compromise, but we have a great relationship. I'm talking, they support their daddy. We have a great relationship. But now some of my brothers now in my family, I don't have many of them still alive now, but in that part of my family, that we're not as close because of what I do. We're not as close, but my immediate family, my sons and daughters, well, we got a great, great, great relationship. The holidays that I don't keep because of my faith, they don't have nothing to say about that. We all get along good. I treat them good. You know what I mean? I treat them right and they treat me right. So the only problem I have in that with the faith is, like I said, my nieces and nephews and stuff like that, then we're not as close, because of my faith and because of what I do. But my immediate family, yeah, we're close. We stick together. And and I always say a family that prayed together,
yes,
stayed together. Yeah.
I've heard you say it many, many, many times.
Yeah. And see, you got to realize, and I'm going to make this fast. You got to realize you come into the world, you belong to Yahweh, or you don't. I know it's hard to figure that out, and I don't want to get into it. It takes a lot to explain it, but it's like that. It ain't that when you get saved, you belong to Him. Before that even happened, they said, well, you being good ain't good enough, and you're right. But being good is, guess what?
The groundwork.
That's a good candidate.
Yes.
That's a good candidate, because what did the rich man went to Jesus and said, good master, call him good master. He said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus said this, the first thing he dealt with was the good master. He said, why are you calling me good? There's no one but good but God. So since when we say a good candidate, ain't but one good, and that's who?
Yes, sir.
That's right. You might not be done made it. You might not be saved just yet. But buddy, that good is good. That's God. That's right. God, that yes. Good is. Yeah. You can't, because see, the enemy ain't good. He's evil.
Yes, he is.
He's dark. You see, Jesus said he's the light. And if you follow him, you'll be walking in the light. See, so that is right there. Good is a good, because see, think about when I was coming up. I was good. I got into all that stuff, but I was good. I had a good heart. I helped people. I was in the community. I coached for probably 9 years. I coached sports. Kids coming up all over this area, kids know me. They got their own families now, but they remember me. See, I was good and active in the community and everything. I had the good heart. Look at me now, see.
Yes.
See, when I was doing that, when I cheated and when I was doing that, I had the good heart. Look at me. See, so what to tell you about good? Good gonna be there eventually. Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So, well, I know we're running low on time, so I just wanted to ask you a couple more questions. Change the subject completely. Excuse me. I know that you make the best barbecue on earth. You do. How do you tie that into your ministry? Oh
man, it's easy. Just like Jesus fed the 5,000. You see what I'm saying? 5,000 people were there. That's one thing. And I believe that's why he gave me that ministry now, is because, see, you could get a podium and a Bible and a loudspeaker and stand on the corner and won't nobody stop. But you pull out the world's greatest food, you're going to have a crowd. And everybody, every time we do those fundraisers, they're fundraisers for the church. And if you're not supporting us, you need to support us online or whatever you can. But when I pull that barbecue out, they come out of the woodworks. And then I get to say the same thing. If you had a podium out there, I get to do the same thing and they listen.
Yes, they do. And yes, he does. And you make the sauce and all the sides and everything from scratch.
Everything is made from scratch. Everything. I got a sauce I started making in 1986. That's been 37 years ago. My youngest son was born in 1986, and that's when I made my first sauce in 1986. Now I have 7 sauces.
Now, did you grow up cooking?
Oh no. When I first got married, my wife and we had 2 kids, we went to mama's house and ate every day. I couldn't cook an egg. I couldn't boil water. When I first got married, I couldn't boil water.
Oh my goodness.
I remember I tried to make some biscuits one time and you could hit a home run with them and they wouldn't even crack. I tried to make some biscuits because I thought, Mama, I seen how she done it. So I thought I could just put the flour together and just make a biscuit. Man, that thing got so hard, I promise you could throw it on concrete and it wouldn't
Crack the concrete?
It cracked the concrete. Yeah, I tried that.
All right, so this is my last question for you. I know how busy you are and how hard you work. How do you find the time for your piece?
Well, my number one piece is my fellowship, my private time with Jehovah. Every morning at 4 o'clock, I'm up. And from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, can't nobody get in touch with me. From 4 o'clock to 9, it's my time with Jehovah. That's me and him every morning. This is not every now and then. And then, as you know, at my house, I don't watch TV. I meditate. When I'm not if I'm talking to somebody, like you and I talking to somebody, I'm teaching. And then if I'm not on the phone teaching, I'm meditating. It's just, I stay plugged in 24/7. That's my, see, it's been a time in my life when I didn't do that and I seen my life fall apart. See, I seen my life fall apart. So now you should learn from your mistakes. Well, I learned that. So now, ever since I've been back with him, I always had a work ethic to wake up early in the morning and spend time with him. And I spend time with him throughout the whole day. My every day, 7 days a week, I do that. And the reason for that is because of my prior life when I didn't do that and what kind of shape my life got into. See, and number one, I have to do that because if I don't do that, then that stinking thinking is going to try to take over, because that's what Satan uses to try to stop you. He used that thinking up there. You can't control your thinking. Like, I'll tell you what I think and you might think it's bad. I'll tell you what I think sometimes, like wanting to quit. You might think that's bad coming from a pastor like me. But no, that ain't bad. It's your actions is what count.
Yes.
That thought you can't help. You can't stop that. You might have a suicidal thought. You can't stop that, but you can control what you do, though.
Your actions.
You see, people have all kind of thoughts, but you got to be able to control what you do. You know, you can't help the thought, but it's a choice to make the reaction after the thought. Okay, so we're going to have to get ready.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that was all right. I really do. I appreciate that. And I believe that, God got something in store for his people today.
Yes, he does.
He really have. And you may not have thought a whole lot about this live stream church, but you need to take another look at this live stream church and you need to support it. You need to get behind this, because you know who you getting behind? You getting behind Jehovah and his son Jesus. You getting behind him. That's who you get behind. That's who I'm behind. And that's who you supporting him, because you know something? I thought a long time ago that he didn't need us, but he do need us.
Yes.
Without us, what can he do? Now, he can do what he want to, but it ain't designed to do what he want to.
But if he did what he wanted to do without us, and it's just something appears in somebody's life, everybody on earth would be expecting to have miracles performed in their life, just like that.
Just like that.
He uses us, to get to people for them to understand. and sometimes uses you to actually do what he wants you to do if you're in that person's life.
That's exactly right. That's how it is.
I witnessed it.
Yeah, witness it. That's why I know, people, see, that's why the enemy, if you try to live for the Lord sometime, now what the enemy will do, he'll stop people from giving to you. He'll stop people from helping you, because that's what it takes for God to get it done. He have to if you got a need today financially or whatever need you have, he going to use somebody to take care of that financial need. You're not going to go out there to the mailbox and get something that you're not supposed to get. He's going to use somebody to do that. And that's where the enemy comes in at. He'll come in and he'll stop people from trying to support you, because it tries to make you compromise. See, most of the time, if you don't get the support you need or whatever, then you compromise so you can get it. That's what a lot of them do. They say, well, man, what can we do? So they compromise. And then when you compromise, then Satan, he'll
it opens the door a little bit.
It opened the door a little bit. That's right. But see, what you got to realize what I do. See, I'm not compromising for one reason. I'm not called to make this work. I'm not called to make the live stream church work. Jesus said, upon this rock, I'll build my church. That's what he said. So that relieved me on having to make it work. He called me to do the work. Whatever he tell me to do, go and make disciples. That's what I do every day. Everybody I talk to, every single day, 7 days a week, I'm making disciples. That's what I can do the work, but I can't make it work.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's what Jesus going to make it work. So you know what? I'm a winner no matter what. If I just do it don't matter if it be successful or not. What success is doing the will of God, doing what that's success, not the outcome. The success is doing, what did his mama say in the first miracle of the Bible? His mama at the wedding of Cana, this is what she done. She went in the room with the servants and she said, Jesus, she told him about, she said, whatever he tell you to do it. Ain't that what she told him?
It is. And you ask me questions like that, and I have to brain a little bit harder, y'all.
Yeah. Well, I tell you.
He has this memory that is just so like this.
Yeah. Whatever he said do, Jesus' mother told him that was working at the parties, whatever he said do it. And he come in and told him to fill the pots with water. Now, if I'd have been there and used to be a drinker, I'd have said, buddy, we don't want water, we want wine. But anyway, they done what he said do, and the first miracle in the Bible happened. Okay, well, we're going to have to get ready to close it out today. I tell you what, I enjoyed this, and
I did too.
We're going to have a lot better coming. We got a lot of things that we're working on here at the Live Stream Church around the clock. We got some announcements to make. We got a lot of things that we're doing. So I just want each and every one of you to know that we have a lot going on. We're going to be bringing forth a lot. So what we need you to do, we need you to partner with us, and together, not you get me anywhere, but together, let's take God's ministry to the people. We can take it together to the people. All you got to do is share the video, share this message. That's all you got to do. Invite people over to your house on the live prayer or the Bible studies or the Saturday morning or walking through fire. Invite them over to your house. Watch it on your TV together. See, that's sharing this message of the good news. That's what we have. We have the good news, how Christ died for our sins. That's on anybody only hope right there. We don't have no other hope.
No.
So that's how you can do it. It's simple and easy. Share the messages. You coming right along beside all of us, doing the will of God, putting the good news out there for his people out there that's in the world, into drugs and alcohol or whatever, just a worldly way of living, just don't know him, to get to know him, and to get to know especially, he will accept them just the way they are. Because if it was a change we could make, why did he suffer and die on the cross for us if we could just get it together.
Because I can't get it together.
I
without
tried.
him. I did too.
I'm a very successful man, but guess what? I couldn't beat that. I couldn't get that together. I had to call on him. All righty. Well, we're going to get ready to get out of here today. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. And like we said, just tell the people about it. Come behind us. We got our next fundraiser coming up in May.
May 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Yep.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before Memorial Day.
Yep, that's right. So you know what? Get geared up, get in prayer about how you can come in and how you can work with us and how you can give to this ministry. Be in prayer about it. Talk to the Lord about it. See what he tell you. And then, like Jesus' mama said, whatever he tell you to do it. All right. Well, okay. Well, we're going to end this for today, and we'll be back Wednesday on our live prayer at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. And I tell you what, I look forward to Wednesday. I really look forward to Wednesday. I look forward to every day we live stream. I enjoy this. I enjoy God using me, for his people to help you grow in wisdom and in knowledge of the Lord and Savior, Jesus. So I enjoy what I do. And until then, I just want to say thank you for being here today. We're going to get ready to end it because we about out of time. And if we run out of time, it'll cut off on us. So, all righty. So I look forward to seeing you Wednesday. And like I said, Sister Sue Hornsby here and Pastor Tommy, we signing out with the Unbroken Covenant crew. We look forward to seeing you. We got a lot of new things coming. We got a lot of announcements to make moving forward. Okay? All righty. Well, God bless you and keep you is our prayer. And I pray that whatever you do it heartily unto the Lord and not unto man. Okay? All righty. God bless you. We'll look forward to seeing you Wednesday. You have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right? Shalom.